Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you the final checkout video of a Kellogg wooden wall telephone. This is a really cool telephone, and this is Ron's telephone from Florida. And it basically has a Stromberg and Carlson 5-bar magneto in it for the crank. And so basically we did 2 other videos of this telephone, and the initial video kind of showed everything that it needed and what we were going to do with it and convert it to a more modern network so that Ron could utilize this telephone and have good quality sound and transmit. And we also installed some contacts up top that would be pretty close to what you would originally have in the old days. The center one was ground, and then you had your tip and ring. And so basically we didn't have any of them, and to find the original parts would be pretty expensive if you could ever even find them. So basically we installed this hardware, and it looks pretty close to what it would have been originally. We also installed a different type receiver capsule into the receiver and a microphone element into the transmit mic area. And so basically this telephone is in very good condition. We did a second video about the magneto. We had some problems with the magneto, and I've talked with Ron, and basically what had happened was he received this telephone from someone, and there was some issues with the crank and some pieces that were missing or broke, and so we did a kind of a conversion on the crank to get the crank working. And we talked to Ron, and Ron said, well, I really don't even care if the bells ring when you crank it, just when you call it. And so in order to, try to get this telephone to work like it did originally when you crank the crank and ring the bells, I went ahead and repaired the magneto, but then we had another brass part break. And so then I welded it, and I got a couple of good bites on it, and I think it's going to be fine. It just was kind of touchy because you don't want to ruin the threads on the crank, and so we had to weld it. And so basically we'll go ahead and crank the telephone right now. And I'm kind of one-handed here, but that gives you the ideal of that the crank does work. And it will ring the bells when you crank it. And hopefully that repair will probably last. Now that repair's on me because I wanted it to work the way it should work, and but Ron said he didn't really care if it did. So I'm gonna, I'll take care of that repair. That's on me. So anyway, I want to give you a look at the inside of the telephone here, and I am kind of one-handed, so I'm just going to try to do this the best I can. Most all the wiring was missing in this telephone, but we went through the bell circuit and repaired all that, put in new wire because most everything was missing. There was some wire in it, but for the most part we had to do a lot of rewiring of this telephone. This kind of shows you the inside of the main PC board and your hook switch, and that's all installed now. So he'll be able to transmit and receive on this telephone, with good quality. And so basically another issue with this telephone was down at the bottom, what we did was Ron wanted a hole that he could simply bring a line cord into. And then we installed a modular port. And I'll go ahead and plug the analyzer in, and the line is active at this point. The other thing I want to show you is we'll go ahead and do some tests on the telephone now. I want to go ahead and ring the analyzer. We'll let that go a couple times. We'll go ahead and listen to some dial tone. And then what I want to do is I want to make dial tone go away. And I want to speak into the transmitter. Every time you see that red indicator light on the analyzer, that's 100% modulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that the telephone is transmitting, and we know that it has receive. And we'll go ahead and give you some dial tone. Now I want to show you something here real quick. We'll set the receiver down. If you notice, if I turn this crank a little, what will happen is that will cut the line. And the reason why there's a switch there, if we turn it just about 1/4 of a turn, we can take and unseize the line. So you see that seize the line, unseize it, seize it, seize the line. And now the line's seized and we have dial tone. The reason why it's set up like that is because I don't like to feed a back voltage from the magneto into the telephone line. Now if we have to, that's fine, but I don't like to have to do that. When I can, I use switches to, when you're going to crank the crank, to ring the bells. The best thing to do is, if you crank these and ring the bells, is you want to have the receiver hung up. But you know, if this crank handle does not return, it's spring loaded, and if it doesn't return when you crank it, because you crank it, you basically crank it clockwise, and then you want to give it a little sweep back about 1/4 of a turn to kind of help it out, because we did have a lot of problems with that crank. And although they're spring loaded, the spring isn't what it used to be, and to take it all apart and replace the spring is, you know, it'll probably loosen up is probably what it'll do. But if you were to ever pick up the receiver and not get dial tone, it would be because this crank is a little sticky. So every time you crank it, you want to go back about 1/4 of a turn, and that will ensure you to have your line. So now what we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug it into a regular telephone line. And I'm going to give you some dial tone. And now what we want to do is call like a time and temp number.
Ford, drive one and you'll know at Offenburg Ford in Belleville and O'Fallon. Today is Tuesday, November 29th. The time is 7 o'clock. Current temperature 46 degrees. Now the weather forecast for the Belleville area. Partly cloudy and colder tonight, lows in the mid-20s. Sunny on Wednesday, high in the mid-40s.
Okay, so now what we want to do is I want to hang up, give you some dial tone, and we will take and dial a second number. I'll go ahead and dial my number. And the telephone will be busy, the line. And we'll hang up. Dial tone. We'll call another number, say like Walmart.
Thank you for calling Walmart.
Yeah, could I have the deli, please?
The deli, just a moment.
See if they're not on break.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, is this a deli?
Just a moment.
I'm about a foot away from the phone, so evidently they can hear me.
Walmart Deli.
Yeah, do you guys have about 10 pounds of chicken legs and wings?
10 pounds? No.
Well, I'll try another Walmart then. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so we know that they don't have 10 pounds of chicken legs and wings, but we know the telephone works. And, you know, there should not be any problem with transmit and receive with this newer style microphone and receiver element and network in this telephone now, and you'll have quality transmit and audio, and you'll be able to use this telephone every day. So I think Ron will be pretty happy about that. This is a really cool Kellogg wooden wall oak telephone, and it's in very good condition. It does have a Stromberg and Carlson 5-bar generator or magneto in it, but you know, it's just a very cool telephone, and it's in very good condition. And Ron's going to enjoy this telephone for years to come, I'm sure. Another thing that we want to do, since the ringing of the bells were a kind of an issue, I want to plug it back into the analyzer, and I want to go ahead and ring the bells again. We'll let that go 5 or 6 times. I'll let it go 2 more times. There's your dial tone. Make dial tone go away. And I'll talk into the transmitter again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, hello. So we know that this telephone is working. It's ready to be sent back to Ron, and it's just a beautiful telephone. And it's you know, I've had customers walk in while I was working on this telephone, and you know, they just really, you know, got real excited about it because it's a really beautiful telephone, and it's just great to see these old guys back into service again, and Ron should have a lot of fun with this. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.